Hello beautiful subscribers, it's March 8th here, southeastern Pennsylvania, zone 7A, and today we're going to be talking about fertilizer, a topic I'm pretty familiar with from spending so much time sitting in all those seminars. I like to fertilize a minimum of twice a year. Now we are March 8th, and again maybe in May, end of spring, beginning of summer. I want to start with the most important information first, and that's the concept of slow release. So we want to buy fertilizers that have slow release in them. And that means that a portion of the bag, the granulars in the bag, have been coated with a resin that slows them from dissolving down instantly. I like to use fertilizers that have at least 20% slow release in them. That means that 20% of this bag is going to release very slowly. 80% of it is going to dump out all at once. So it's much safer to use because it's not all going to slam the plant at the same time, especially if you're dealing with a younger tree. So this bag right here is a 14-14-14, which we'll talk about in a second, and it has 40% XCU. This is 40% extended release urea. So you literally can't burn or damage a tree of this size. I mean, you would have to dump the entire bag out there for you to damage it. And that's why slow release is so important. It's hard to see because it's been rubbed off, but it says 40% XCU, which is actually extended control urea. But that is just the coating that they have on the pellets. Now you might find SCU and PCU, which are all different types of coatings, but we want some portion of the bag to have slow release. And that's the most important part of this entire video. This product, Osmocote, is actually 100% slow release. So if you're buying your fertilizer and it gives you a no burn pledge, that means it has at least 70% slow release. I like to use Osmocote for all my bonsais, and look how much I put on it every single year. You cannot burn this tree with 100% slow release. All right, let's get back to the fruit trees. Most of this video is going to be about granular fertilizer because I believe it's much safer to use than liquid fertilizer. So we're going to be going over a bunch of these different products here, and we're going to talk about which ones to use for which tree. Later in the video, we'll talk about two different liquid fertilizers I have there, but generally I only use granular. People tend to worry about fertilizing a little too much, especially if your trees are established and in the ground. So this tree, probably 6 years old, been in the ground for 3 years. It would be extremely difficult to damage this tree, especially if you're using some sort of slow release. There's three main elements or nutrients in every bag of fertilizer. That's what make up these three numbers that you'll see on the front of every bag. For example, this is 444. That means 4% of this bag is nitrogen, 4% of this bag is phosphorus, and 4% of it is potassium. Then the rest of the bag is usually inert material like cinders, sand. Sometimes you can get biosolids or manure to be the filler that fills up the other space. But the nitrogen is mostly used in the plant for vigor, green, leafy growth. The phosphorus will help with flowering, fruit development, blooming. And then the potassium has to do with plant health as well, and cell structure and cell health inside the plant. So all three of these are very important, and they're going to be the numbers on the front of every bag of fertilizer. Now, if the tree is young, we do not want to use a 14, 14, 14 like you just watched me use earlier on my large peach trees. Instead, we want to use like a 4, 4, 4. Significantly less fertilizer. We have a honey jujube here and a standard fuyu. They look like they're big, but they're not. They're young trees, so we are going to use a 4, 4, 4. And it says feeds quickly and up to 3 months. That means there's slow release in here. I tried to find it on the bag and it doesn't say how much slow release there is, so I don't even like this product anymore. But because these are a young tree, we are only going to use a 4, 4, 4. And it says a 1/4 cup for 2-foot canopy diameter. So this canopy is 1, 2, 3, 4 feet. So we got to use they want us to use 1/2 cup. Now you could go in and measure it and be all careful, but like I said, you don't need to worry about that with fertilizer, especially if you're using a 4, 4, 4. You can even get lower than a 4, 4, 4, which I showed you here. This is organic. This is just chicken manure. And this is like a 2-1-2. Super light. Work really good when you're planting new trees. You can mix it in. Nature's slow release nitrogen. Eco-friendly, beautiful plants. So I use this when I'm planting. Oh wait, it actually says it's a 2, 4, 3. But usually, like if you were to get chicken manure out of the pen, it would be closer to a 2, 2, 2. All right, that's good. So you can find some products that are specifically geared to one of these numbers, and this is a 0, 45, 0. This is triple phosphate. So remember earlier I said that the phosphorus helped with root development, blooming, flowering, and fruit production. So this here is a Hannah Fuyu persimmons, and it doesn't want to flower. I don't know why. The one next to it right here flowers. So I decided this year that we're going to hit it with some triple phosphate, which is hopefully going to help it flower. This tree is getting big, so I'm going to use a 10, 10, 10. The trees you saw me fertilize earlier, 14, 14, 14. You could go up to like an 18, 18, 18, and big established old mature trees, and then young fruit trees 5, 5, 5 and lower. And I'll just ride around on the golf cart and just And I've been doing that for 15 years. My trees have been doing great. I never burned any of my trees. And that's why I love using granular fertilizer with slow release. It's hard to see, but I wanted to try and show you guys how heavy I put it down, so you guys don't have to worry too much. You can see all the granular pellets in there. All right, here's a product that someone gifted to me. This is another way that you can fertilize your fruit trees. These are fertilizer spikes, and these are made by Job's Fruit Tree Spikes in 8-11-11. Feeds for up to 60 days. So they want you to use 5 of these spikes, seems like a lot, for a 3-inch diameter trunk. All right, let me show you how to use these. We're gonna go over to my Asian pears. I have 5 of them over there in the mulch bed, and we will spike these into the ground. All right, so they want to use 5 spikes per 3-inch diameter tree. This is about a 3-inch diameter Asian pear. This is a Hosui, and that's a 3-inch diameter Asian pear. I think that's a Kosui. So they want us to apply them on the drip line. And the drip line is the outermost diameter of the branches. You want to do the same thing when you're throwing your granular fertilizer. Go all the way out to the outer branches. That's the drip line. So, roughly 3-inch caliper tree. We're going to take our spikes out at the drip line. And they want them flush with the ground. That's 1. We're gonna do this evenly around the tree. They give you these red little caps. I mean, sometimes you need them, sometimes you don't. Smash apart the top of them, but it's a lot easier when you're in the mulch bed. If you're trying to do this in the dirt, I'm not gonna lie, this product kind of scares me because they want 5 of these on a 3-inch diameter tree, and this is an 8-11-11, and it seems like a lot to me. So if anything, we're gonna err on the side of caution, and I am going to use just 3 of them for now. All right, so you can find in stores liquid fertilizer, and I don't recommend it because there is no slow release in liquid fertilizer. It instantly gets transferred to the roots and hits the plant with everything that it's got right away. So it's much easier to burn the plant. It's much easier to accidentally measure a little too much of the liquid fertilizer or not have enough water, and therefore you can burn or damage your plant significantly easier. But it does have a time and a place. If one of your plants is doing really bad and you want it to instantly try to bring it back to life or health, that's when you'd want to use some liquid fertilizer. It will be taken up rapidly by the plant. So, for example, right here, we got a 4-12-4. And this is a quick start planting and transplanting starter solution. So I must have bought this at some point to help when I was starting new plants. Directions for use: mix half a capful for 1 gallon of water. Here we have a 3-2-3 Nutri Tree and Shrub. So this one wants you to dilute 1 gallon for every 50 gallons of water. So we'd have to do the math. Oh, here it is. Container plants, 2.5 ounces per gallon of water. So we have a 2-gallon container. I forgot, and a very important step, shake it up, because this has been sitting in my garage, and all the good nutrients are probably at the bottom. All right, so we got 2 gallons of water, so we're gonna need 5 ounces. And now we can dump this right on our plants, and it'll get sucked in in the next 2 days. It's a 3-2-3, so it's not a high level of fertilizer. Back here we have a French plum, so we might as well make good use of this. This is one of my favorite fruit in the farm. These are gooseberries, highly recommended, super easy to grow. Harvest big crop from a few plants. I'm gonna use the rest of this liquid fertilizer on them. All right, so we're all finished. Thought I'd show you a shot of the horses and my beautiful giant medlar tree. I hope you guys learned something today, and like always, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.